preoccupied trying to hold on to what we currently have, that we'll lose the opportunity to try to grab onto something greater. And so when it comes time for God to try to bring you into a season of greater, notice this, that he only finds people first and foremost that are busy. People who are preoccupied. People who have something else to do. And so he tells them, listen, I'm trying to do something great within your life, and I want you to come into the greater extremity of what it is that I've planned for your life as it relates to who God has already seen and predestinated for you to have. He says, listen, there's something greater. He says, but there's a reality that you're currently living in that is limiting you from moving into what could be. And how many of us can have had so much more and so much greater only because and have not allowed ourselves to move into that because of the fact that all we've seen is what we've always saw. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about right here within the text, we're seeing that these two brothers, they are sitting in a place that they are preoccupied and they are busy doing something. And God says, listen, yes, you're called, but not to what you're doing. How many of you ever felt like you've been in a position that what you're currently doing has absolutely nothing to do with where you're going to be? And you can become extremely frustrated because I know I'm here, but there's something greater that is connected to what it is that God wants me to do. And so you can become diabolical in your presentation. What does that mean? You can try to destroy what it is that you're currently doing. And you will not appreciate the fact that God has given you the ability to do what it is that you're currently doing right now. And so you will say, okay, God, I want to try to get into something greater. I want to do something greater, but I'm preoccupied doing what it is that you have given to me. But yet I don't like it. Simon and his brother, as the Bible says here, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They're both in business together, helping out each other maintain this level that God has given unto them. However, Jesus comes along and he becomes a problem. And why do I say he's a problem? It's because he awakens them to another dimension. He awakens them to another level. He says, yes, I see that you're fishing. Yes, I see that you have this occupation. Yes, I see that you're going to work every single day. But I want you to understand that this is not the sum total of what I've called you to. Many of us are on a job, but many of us are not in our occupation.
Amen. Amen.
However, here's what I want you to understand. Notice that God never defecates on what they're doing. He never disqualifies. That's what we do. We will stand back and we will be upset that it's Monday morning because we've got to clock into something that we don't feel that we're called to. We will get upset by the fact that we even have a paycheck that's going to show up on Friday. And it's because dissatisfaction has a way of working on your psyche to the point that you no longer are grateful for something on the last day as you were on the first day. That first day you was, oh God, I thank you, because you said, God, if you just give me a job, if you just give me an opportunity to make some money, God, if you just do this, I'll praise you, I thank you every single day. You're like, oh, I thank you, God, for what you gave me. But somehow, between the Alpha down to the Omega, from the beginning to the end, through the process, we start grumbling and complaining as to what God gave us. Gave gave us a job, gave us an opportunity to make some money, gave us an ability to get out of the shape that we were currently in, and yet we are no longer thankful because we become dissatisfied into what it is that God has given unto us. Now listen, I want you to maintain your gratefulness if you don't get nothing else out of this message. Because your wealth is not connected to what you possess, but it's connected to your ability to maintain, your ability to praise God, regardless if you're on the mountaintop or down in the valley. There's a whole lot of people that are sitting on the mountaintop with a whole lot of money and are miserable. Are you hearing me? We turn on the news just about every other day and we hear somebody else that has committed suicide trying to get something that you wish you had. Are y'all hear what I'm saying? Did I say that right? That some of you all are going after some things, my God, that you see other people have and they trying to get rid of it. And you trying to get it. Oh man, if I could just be the CEO of the company, then I'll be satisfied. Man, if I could just make maybe $10,000 more a year, amen, then I'll be satisfied. Well, God is looking and he says, listen, the only way that I'm going to pre-qualify you to receive something in another dimension is that I got to see how well you're able to maintain not only what it is that you do on a day-by-day basis, but your attitude while you're doing it. Are you able to stay grateful even in something that you are not necessarily called to? Did y'all catch the title of the message? He said, I'm called to men, but I'm over here fishing. I'm supposed to be doing something greater, but God is pre-qualifying me to say, okay, I cannot get you into something greater until I see how you respond to what you're doing right now. Don't ever let the devil trick you into misery. Because he will trick you into becoming dissatisfied into something that God blessed you with. The Bible says clearly, to whom much is given, much is required. What is the much? The much is not more hours in the day. That's not what he's talking about. It's not more elbow grease and working hard. No, I'm not talking about that. That much is learning to understand that regardless if I am in few, I know how to maintain myself knowing that this little bit will become much. Did y'all catch that? So he says, to whom much has been given, much is required. That means then that my level of holding on to, my God, something that seems invaluable and make it seem valuable to me and treat it as if it is valuable, he says, that's when you're going to get much. Y'all didn't catch that. So if I got $2 today, he said, if I'm able to maintain my gratefulness as if it was $2 million and treat that $2 as if it was $2 million, he said, eventually $2 million will show up because he said, I can trust you. Last week we were asking you to trust God, but now the question is, can God trust you? Can he trust you right now to understand that even though you're in few, I got a destination to come into much. So I'm not allowing my amount to control the level of my responsibility. Oh, y'all gonna catch this? I'm gonna preach it whether you say amen or not. Lord have mercy. Listen, if I'm washing the bowls, if I'm washing, my God, the toilets, if I'm cleaning up, if I'm just dusting stuff, listen, I need to dust that stuff as if it was my own. No. Correction. Better than your own. You got to do that as if it was in $1 million trillion mansion. And if it was given unto you as that was a millionaire, then God is saying, listen, if I can see you, my God, pay attention to details and have a spirit of excellence over something that other people will call nothing, then I can trust you with much. So the question is, Can God trust you? Can he trust you with something better than what you're currently operating in? And how can he trust you? Not based upon your amen, but based upon your conduct. Somebody give you their car, my God, to drive around. How are you going to treat that car? Are you going to turn that car into how you would treat yourself? Oh, ain't nobody talking. No, this is somebody else's. And so therefore, you can't treat somebody else's the way you treat yourself. You got to treat it greater because somebody trusted you. Not because of the car, not because of the make, but because somebody trusted you with something that they own. And because I value you trusting me, I'm going to show you that I'm worth trusting. Or ain't nobody gonna talk in here. I don't know why he gave me, let me drive this car. He's not here this Sunday morning. He probably oversleeping or something. Amen. Or watching online. I'm gonna call him out. Mama said, get it. Jamarcus, not Jamarcus, but Marcus called me one day. He says, Pastor, I'm bringing my car back. I said, for what? He says, I want you to drive it for a day. He says, I don't know why, but this is what the Lord told me to do. And up until this point, I didn't know why either. So he gives me his car, and I'm sitting in the car, and it's got every bells and whistles and this thing that you can think of. I ain't never, to this day, ever sat in the car and felt a seat wrap around you and hug you. Cushions in the seat. And so I'm sitting in this car and I'm driving and whatever. And I said, well, it's got a little dust on it, so I'm going to go wash it. And I go get the car washed. And then I said, okay, the gas is getting a little bit depleted. I'm going to go fill it up. And then I get out there on the highway and I punch that thing. And I said, oh my God. I said, Lord have mercy. What could I do with something like this? Somebody said, well, the police, no, with that kind of monster, the police wouldn't even catch me. I tell you. Don't try this at home. And so I'm driving around in this vehicle, and I'm like, okay, what in the world? And now I'm getting a point-by-point revelation that somebody trusted me with something else that they probably wouldn't even give to some other people that are around there. And God was saying, listen, Lord have mercy, that we just preached a message about trust, Lord have mercy. And I want to see, can I trust you with something that didn't cost you anything? Somebody else had to pay for it. Somebody else had to put it in there. Somebody else had to work hard. And though it didn't cost you nothing, are you going to treat it like how much it cost you? But are you going to be able to put some value in to what it is that somebody trusted you with? And that trust is more valuable than how much that car could cost. Did a little research and I found out the car, I know he probably didn't pay that, but the car is worth over $60,000. I'm like, get me about this car. What are you driving around? $60,000 car. That means anything that's on the street, you're going to be like, oh God, did it nick the car? So anyway, this is what God is trying to illustrate to us. He says, listen, I'm giving you something that didn't cost you anything. Come on now. Yes, yes. He says, right now, yes, it's just a little job to you, but listen, you don't know how much it costs for me to get that blessing to you. Come on, yeah. That's good. That's good. How did God have to listen? Y'all sitting in these chairs, y'all don't know how much prayer that somebody had to go through just to get these chairs in this church. You don't know how much it costs just for somebody to even have a room for you to come into this morning. How much sacrifice went into it. And it may be nothing to you, but to somebody that it had to cost sweat, blood, and tears. tears just for you to come and have a stage to stand on, just for you to have a microphone to stand. Yeah, you didn't have to do much or nothing to get it, but don't come in here and treat it like it's nothing because you didn't have to pay nothing. Boy, nobody talking to me. Anybody know what that feels like? Somebody walk up in your house, amen, and it cost you sweat, blood, and tears just to get that old rickety chair that they got to sit in, and then they let their kids come in there and start jumping up and down in your chair. My God, running around, sit that kid down. I let you in my house because I trusted you. And it may not mean nothing to you, but it means something to me because of all of the tears and all of the blood that I have to shed just to get this little bit. So God said, I'm watching to see how you're going to act in the place called few. Are you going to act, my God, like it's a whole lot? Or are you going to act like, oh, it just don't matter if I don't show up? Oh, it don't matter. It don't matter. My God, they'll get somebody else. Oh, it don't matter. Oh, I don't even have to be here. Oh, I don't even have to do that. Oh, listen, that's the reason why you cannot be blessed. Because God says, I see your attitude when you don't have what you call much. I said every Sunday, peas don't mean much unless they're yours. I got that from Farm Parsley. Peas don't mean much unless they're your peas. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so look at what he's doing. He is being preoccupied. And so I don't want you, listen, Andrew, all you Andrews and all you Peters that are in this room, Simon Peter, got two names. That's one of the issues. two identities. Schizophrenic. One day you're Simon, the next day you're Peter. That'll preach all by itself. Peter and Andrew, I want to see how well you're doing fishing with just regular fish. Come on. Because I'm training you for something. I'm getting you ready for something that you can't even perceive right now, because everything in your family, everything around you has gotten you ready just to go fishing. But God says, I'm going to take what it is that seems insignificant and that's just routine to you, take the same thing and put it in a whole other dimension. Can I tell you right now that God is going to use everything that you've been through. And when he brings you into your next dimension, it's going to make sense why you had to sit up there and mess with some stinking fish.
Come on. Come on.
Y'all missed a good place to shine. The enemy is making you feel bad about just being a regular fisherman. And after all, everybody in my family, all we ever done was just be a fisherman. But God says, I had to teach you the quality and I had to teach you the necessities of how to understand fish. Because if you didn't understand fish and if you didn't treat it as if it was something that was regal, my God, then you would not understand that when it came down to my men, you would have completely disregarded and not understood what it is that I was trying to get you into. Anybody remember Karate Kid? Anybody remember that? So he said, Kimasabi. He said, I want you to teach me how to do karate. I got some challenges around me. I'm not all that great of an individual because people pump me out. I am bullied all the time. He says, teach me, as I'm paraphrasing, how to be stronger. I want to be something great. He said, okay. See that car over there? Wax on. Wax off. All right, I'll do that. All right, Kimasabi, I done that. He said, you see that fence over there? He said, bang. Stroke up, stroke down. Eventually, he gets irritated because this is not what I asked you to do, God. so that I know how to handle my abuser. That I know how to handle what I'm going through. And instead of you bringing me into what I asked you for, you got me on here waxing on. Waxing on. So eventually, the time came when he says, listen, in his prayerful state, Lord, why you got me doing all of this? He says, come here, let me show you. He throws him a punch. He says, wax on. Throw him another punch. He says, wax off. Oh, ain't nobody talking. See, the stuff don't make sense right now what God has you into. But after God delivers you into the next dimension, you'll understand that this little insignificant thing that you're doing right now is connected to your future. Oh, I know it don't seem like nothing right now. I know just coming into Kingdom Impact and singing on a praise and worship team really don't mean nothing. But you don't know that if you don't do this well, then you can't have what you're trying to reach for. Oh, ain't nobody talking to you here. Don't ever let nobody come in and crap on what God gave you. That's the best way I can say it. I can't clean it up for all of you. Don't let nobody come in and say, oh, this ain't nothing at all. Well, I can't wait to get up out of here. Get up out of here then. Because what you going to? You can't go to nothing if you can't follow this. So we got to watch ourselves in our attitude that we disregard where God has us. Because God said, listen, I'm trying to get you into something greater, but I need you to understand that what God is trying to take you to looks a whole lot where you just came out of. It's getting quiet in this Presbyterian church. Don't understand why we had to serve that man. Don't understand why I had to go to that ministry. Don't understand why I had to be on that job. Are y'all hear what I'm saying? Oh, I'm living what I'm not just preaching to you something that is off the top of my head and that sounds good. I've had to live this. I'm sitting up working at Radio Shack. Y'all hear me? It's a job that I got in 1995. That I stayed on until 2000 and, oh Lord, what, 5? Wow. 5.15 an hour. So there was a little bit of a break. I had a job here. Then I left here and went to Columbus, Ohio. I said, what am I going to do? Well, we're going to find the closest Radio Shack. 5.15 an hour. Radio Shack, man. Are y'all hearing what I'm talking? 5.15 an hour. I can barely make ends meet. Finally, one day, I show up and he says, you're no longer needed. I said, what, you mean I don't need any more hours? And he says, no. He left it like that. So I thought he was just playing. I come back in the other day, when I normally come in. Got my little tie on, got my little shirt, got my little belt on. I was about 40 pounds lighter. Walk in there. My name ain't on the schedule. He wasn't even there. Doug Shackley. I looked him up just the other day and he done went on to bigger things. And I said, well, what in the world? So I go through a little depression because I have no job. Okay? Long story longer, I end up going to AT&T. And they make you do an interview. So I'm sitting up doing an interview over the phone. And so I'm doing an interview over the phone. They said, okay, you're qualified to come on in. I want you to meet with somebody. So she takes a piece of paper. She writes down 5 different products, 6 different products. She slides it across the table and she says, which one would you sell? So I looked at which one on the paper and I said, I'll start with this And I started selling it to her as if she said, I don't want you to tell me, I want you to sell me everything. And she didn't say sell me everything. She said, which one? She tried to set me up. So some people would just look at the paper and said, I would just sell that one thing that is on the paper. By the time I got done, I'd sold everything up on the paper, made it a whole reality. And she says, all right, we're going to start you off at $17 an hour. Wait a minute. Don't mean nothing to you. But this is back in 19. Come on now. And wait a minute, $5.15 an hour, $17 an hour. So how did I know to offer everything on the paper? Because of what I learned at radio show. Can I have somebody in this room? There is a skill and ability that you're learning on a mundane, mediocre schedule that don't really seem like nothing. But when God says it's good enough, now let's make you fishers of men. He's going to take that $5.15 an hour and turn it to 3 times greater than what you've been receiving up until this time. Now what's the difference between the $17 and $15 an hour as opposed to the $5.15 an hour? Is there any difference? Absolutely not. I've done exactly what I did on the $5.15 an hour as opposed to the $17 an hour. I've done the same thing. So what's the difference? The difference is the fact that now it's my season. Y'all didn't catch that? Y'all didn't catch that? Because Jesus is about to come into your life and say, I see what you've been occupying. I see what you have been doing up until this point. And I watched how you've maintained your attitude right when you were given insignificant situations. He says, and because of that, I'm about to bless you now in the overflow. Now I'm switching you from men or from fish, and I'm going to bring you over here to men. Yeah. The first time I said, get ready for the switch. Get ready for the switch. The only person that can bring you into another dimension is somebody from another realm. Ain't nobody talking. Jesus showed up in their normal situation, but Jesus is not normal. He is abnormal. My God. Can I say a miracle is about to show up in your life? I'm telling you, listen, you have been faithful over a few things. Now I'm about to make you ruler over many. It takes somebody from another dimension to come and bring revelation to where you are in your normal. Do you know what you're doing in this place called insignificant can make you a whole lot of money in the next dimension? Oh, ain't nobody gonna talk in here. Oh, you know, Pastor, all I can do is cook some good cookies. My family been eating my cookies. Ain't no air conditioner on. Can't be. Pastor, all I've been doing is cooking these good cookies, and my family loves my cookies. They just love my cookies. All these are just cookies. They ain't nothing. They ain't nothing. Go tell Miss Fields that your cookies ain't nothing. Mrs. Fields said, you know what? I can cook some cookies too. And as a matter of fact, I see opportunity. Every time I walk through the mall, ain't nobody eating no cookies. And so she said, I'm going to put my cookies in every mall across America. I'm going to package up my cookies. This ain't nobody talking in here. Because she said, if my family loves my cookies, listen, somebody else got to love my cookies. Can you reach over for the second time and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, God was just testing you with the people around you. Now it's to the world. It's to the world. Listen, God's about to take you out of the box of your own mental and psychological limitation and show you that what you're doing in this place can bring a whole lot of money in the next place. But whatever you do, don't forget where you came from. Lord have mercy. Thank God that you had to go through some things that you've went through. Thank God for listen, some people, y'all not going to like this, but some people can make a whole lot of money from the abuse that they just came about. Are y'all hearing me? Okay, y'all don't believe me. What's her name? Thank you. See, I ain't even got to say it. She making a whole lot of money talking about how her daddy molested her.
Come on now.
She is out here selling books on how she made it through molestation. And she's helping at the same time a whole bunch of people who are stuck in that situation. Are you hearing me? One dimension, it brought her tremendous pain. The next dimension is bringing her tremendous pleasure. Oh, y'all not talking? See, it's how you see things. And see, the problem is that if you keep looking at, I'm just fishing, I'm just cooking, I'm just baking, I'm just taking care of kids. I can take care of kids very, you know that can be a business. Oh, I can just fix my hair real good. Oh, I go out shopping, but I can't never find the kind of shoes that I want to wear. I see this kind of shoe. Why come they don't ever do this? Why come they don't? Listen, when something seems so insignificant today, when your season comes, what am I talking about? When that next dimension comes into your right now. So I'm not sitting back looking for somebody to come and bless me and somebody to come and help me. They did not call on Jesus. Jesus called on them and saw how well they were in that, my God, boat, in that condition, and he called them out of that low bar, out of that low place, and said, listen, I'm going to make you fishers of men. Are y'all hear what I'm saying? And so look at this word. He says, Jesus was walking by the sea. Peter and John, he says, verse 19, Peter and Andrew, he says, come, follow. Okay, so the first thing that he tells them to do, he says, I don't want you to do what you've been doing. I don't want you to keep doing it the way you've been doing it.
All right now.
He said, follow. So in essence, he was saying, I want you to follow who you could be. Oh God. So you think, oh, I just have a pastor, and I just have a mentor, I just have a coach, I just have a leader, no. Your effectiveness is coming from how well you follow. Your brokenness is coming from your independence. Y'all better hear me. Your ability to follow instructions and follow directions and, oh God, y'all ain't gonna talk in here, and bring your spirit up under subjection. I don't understand why he's telling me to wax on and wax on. This has nothing to do with what I'm trying to get to. No, he is watching to see how well you follow. When things don't make sense, I want to see how well you're able to follow. Pastor, I don't understand. It ain't for you to understand. Sit down and shut up. Wait a minute now. I think God wants me to understand and get the revelation. No, it ain't time for that, because God's been trying to talk to you in the previous seasons. But if he tries to show you something, all you're going to keep doing is reducing it to what your past experience has been. So God says, all I need you to do is to follow your future and leave the fellowship of your past behind. Oh, y'all not liking that, but the claps are way. Because what we have become in this culture is people that are full of independence. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do it my way. I don't need a daddy. I don't need a mother. I don't need no mentor. I don't need no coach. Guess what? The thing that you are disregarding is causing you to miss what you're trying to reach for. God does not allow you to maintain or to gather without you first effectively and efficiently following somebody else, not knowing that what you're following is your future. They are fishers. But after they get done following Jesus, Lord have mercy, visions of men. And God's going to allow them to come in contact with something that they would have never seen for themselves. Well, Lord, this is my vision. This is my dream. This is my ambition. Where do you see that in the text? Where do you see Peter and Andrew talking to the Lord, telling them what their vision is? Oh, y'all getting quiet? You ain't got enough sense to get your own vision. You don't have enough sense to get your own. Listen, I'm trying to come against this independent spirit. The reason why we can't do nothing as a people because we're too independent. And God said, what I want you to be is independently dependent. Oh, ain't nobody talking. And so what God is saying, listen, there is something that I put on the inside of you. There is a vision that I put on the inside of you. But I will not unlock it until you follow something that does not pertain to you, not knowing that you're going to get you at the end result. Oh, y'all going to be quiet up in here. I know, because this ain't the stuff that we want to hear. We don't want to come into submission. We don't want to subject ourselves to nobody. All we want to do is find out, how can you bless me, Jesus? What can you do for me, Jesus? And Jesus is saying, once you do something for me, then I qualify you to receive something for yourself. Go down the street, they'll preach another gospel. But in this house, I'm going to preach this one. Because this is what God is saying. You're not qualified to receive encouragement until you've encouraged something in somebody else. Pastor, what's your vision? Not knowing that it ain't mine. God took your vision, put it in the heart of somebody else, and then told you to follow them. Are y'all hear what I'm talking about? Glory to God. You want to start a radio station? All right, Pastor, how can I help you do that? What's in your heart? And you don't even know that you had a little bit of a talking ability because all you did was tell folks off in your house. All you did was got into debate with people, my God, in school, and nobody could win the argument. But now all of a sudden you are now following something that you didn't even know that once God put that gift in its proper environment. Now you got 10,000 people listening to you, but over here, 10 folks couldn't stand you. See, so the pastor said, I'm going to start a radio station. That ain't in my spirit. Someone's like, well, he can do it all by himself. Praise the Lord. That was his vision. You're not even understanding. Come on. That God was trying to bring you into millions. You know how much? Listen, and I'm on the low end. We sold one commercial advertising to a Lexus dealership in South Bend. You know how much they paid us? That took me 2 minutes to do. 2 minutes, I got $600. And I'm the one that set the limit. I could have easily told them $1,200. But I felt too guilty because I didn't do nothing. Ain't nobody talking. One dimension, it ain't nothing. Are you hearing me? Took me 2 minutes to put it together. Send it to them. Tell them this is the script. Send it back to me. They sent me a check for $600 for 2 minutes. Come on. All I can do is, I just talk with them. I just tell folks off, But that's the kind of people that folks like to listen to. They like to listen to your opinion regardless of how stupid it is. Come on. That's what some of y'all sit up and watch Twitter. And that's all I'm going to do. Just see somebody else's opinion, no matter how dumb it is. Somebody say follow. Reach over and touch your neighbor for the third time and say you got to follow. You got to follow. This word follow In the Greek, y'all know I was going there. It's deute. D-E-U-T-E in the Greek. And it means come hither. It means leave from where you are and come into another dimension. So God is not just talking to you. I hear him talking to me right now. He says, I'm not just talking to you, but I'm talking to the gift that's in you. And I'm telling that gift, come here. I don't know why I got to come. I don't even like him. Jesus is kind of strange. He's weird. He doesn't do things conventionally. He's not traditional. He's just weird. And I got to come over there. Why? Because God said there's something in you that you don't understand the significance of because you're in the wrong environment. Come on. You're in a boat, but I'm trying to get you into a whole nother arena. Right now, you're in the boat, but I'm trying to get you into the whole world. Come on. Isn't that what he told his disciples? Let's go ye into all the world. He says, now make them what I made you. He says, but if you haven't efficiently and effectively come to where I am, then you will not been able to arrive to where I want you to be. Are y'all catching what I'm saying? So it says, he says, come hither, come hither. It's an exclamatory word. It is not something that it says, oh, will you please come? Exclamatory word. Exclamatory word. It is not something that he says, oh, come on, sweetheart. I don't like the way he talks to me. He wants to make sure that whatever pride is left in you, that part of you that makes you independent, he's going to make sure that you're going to be able to say, okay, yes, sir. Because you're understanding that he's trying to put something in you. Can I tell you, not only is he trying to put something in you, but he's trying to take something out of you. Because there's something that is in you right now that is keeping you in the shape that you're in, and he wants to make sure that that thing does not follow him. Oh God, can I tell you there are some things that are following you that are not supposed to be where you're going? There's some people that you're attached to that you're saying, I need them in my life. That God is saying, listen, you don't really need them because they're supporting something in you that is not in me. Oh God. And so God said, I want to try to get you away from them people because they're messing up your identity. I see how you act when you're around them, but when you're around me, you're a whole other person. And you're not understanding that if you keep hanging around them, you're going to keep getting what they have, which is absolutely nothing concerning you, because that's not what I designed for you to have. So he says, come hither. I'll come when you be more polite. I'll come when you talk to me correctly. If you don't get your hips over here. Oh no, I don't like that. I'm too independent. And guess what you're doing? Disqualifying yourself from more. Come on. Y'all hear what I'm saying? I didn't understand. Listen, I had to live this stuff. I didn't understand why I had to be made fun of by the preacher in a church service where half the church is laughing at me right in the middle of the service. Because he said, I have to learn humility. I have to learn how to... Wait. Humility? Yeah. Humility. You mean, if I go through humility, that means that I've got to learn how to be humiliated. Oh, yes. David, we don't know it. We've had some leaders that have talked to us crazy and still have to have our spirits follow. Come on. Oh, it's getting quiet in this Presbyterian. Because guess what was happening? God was teaching us a discipline that was going to cause us to maintain another level. Listen, what was I going to do when folks say some crazy stuff about you and go off on you? Listen, I mean, I agree. Come on. You ain't nothing. I agree. If I had not been humiliated, I would have stood up and said, yes, I am. I'm all that and handkerchiefs. I'm trying to go somewhere where God can celebrate me instead of tolerate me. Are y'all hear what I'm saying? I How many of us can roll our necks, snap our fingers out of bitterness, not understanding that the very spirit that we saying amen in is what's disqualifying us from receiving more?
Come on. Come on, Pastor. Come on.
Are y'all hear what I'm saying? Yeah. I had to learn how to follow when it was not comfortable.
Come on.
Yeah.
When it wasn't easy, I still had to learn how to follow. Because I didn't understand that when I went through this, when I go through this and understand that the extremities of my emotion may be wreaking havoc, but I cannot allow my emotions to determine my success. I want to go off, but I got to learn how to still follow. Even though I'm upset, I still got to follow. I got to bring myself up under subjection when everything in me says run, when everything in me says leave, when everything in me says get out of here. You stand right there and say, I'm not leaving the will of God. There's something in him that I need, and it may not be comfortable. There's something in her that I need, and it may not be cute, but I'm still going to follow.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to them. I'm coming to what's in them. There's an identity in them that I would not receive if I had not served them. Oh, ain't nobody talking in here. Hallelujah. I know what it is to cry after some preacher has said something to you. I know what it feels like, my God, to be at the base of your bathroom floor crying and sobbing because of how church folks have treated you. Ain't nobody talking in here. Oh, and everybody want to walk around here talking about church hurt, church hurt, church hurt, church hurt. Listen, you're just dysfunctional and you don't want to come into development. And so God keeps bringing you back around to the same old, because you won't learn the lesson of humility. Get in the line and follow. Oh, I ain't gonna get no amen. It's one thing that I love about the army. It don't matter how rich you are. Don't matter how poor you are. Don't matter what side of the tracks you come on. Don't matter if you're black or white. When you come into the army, you gotta forget all of that and become a soldier. They don't turn you into a soldier. You don't learn how to walk in line. You don't learn how to wear your hair the way we tell you to wear your hair.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because your ability to follow just might save your life one day. Don't make sense now, does it? Reach over, ask your neighbor, say, neighbor, does it make sense right now? Yeah, I know some stuff just don't make sense. It don't add up. I know God prophesied, told you that things were going to get better, and before they got better, they got worse. My God, when you thought that you were about to be the head and not the tail, everybody treat you like the tail, even though within yourself, you got to still feel like you the head. It don't make sense for God to tell me in order for you to go up, you got to go as lower than anybody in the room. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Somebody say, I got to learn how to come. I got to learn how to come to where he is. I cannot maintain where I am and achieve where he is. I've got to make a decision to leave where I am so that everything that I've been through makes sense into where I'm going. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So the word here, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1 says, one who imitates or emulates, follow. This is what Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. He says, this Greek word is, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, is mimetes. Means mimetes, which means, or mimetes, or yetes, which means, watch this, mimic. It's the word we get mimic from. And look at the further definition. It says one who imitates or emulates properly. The positive imitation that arises from admiring the pattern set by someone worthy of emulation. So, I can imitate improperly based upon how I act in my attitude.
Go ahead,
Want me to back racks off. Racks off.
Yeah, Lord.
Is that what they showed you to do? No, that's your independence showing up. You're not mimicking. I want you to put as much intention and sweat into what they were showing you to do. Because it's not what you're doing, but again, it's the attitude and the focus. Oh, God. Somebody come and grab you. Anybody ever, mama told you to do something, you started doing it wrong, they come and no, no, no. Grab your hand. Say, do it like this. Are you hearing what I'm talking about? They're saying it's not just the way you do it, but it is the attitude and it's the intention and the focus of how you do it. He says, mimic me. Why? Because there is something that is positive inside that individual that cannot be unlocked in me until I first submit to it. Are y'all catching that?
Yes.
So he says, I want you to follow, watch this. I want you to follow my vision. He says, follow me, 1 Corinthians 11:1. He says, follow me as I follow Christ. And you should imitate me just as I imitate Christ. He says, watch this. The way I see Christ is the way you need to see him too. He said, follow my vision. Oh, y'all gonna miss this. Y'all gonna miss this. Watch this. There was a woman that said, I'm gonna bake me a cake. And my vision says, this is my last cake. Me and my son, she forecasted the vision, was going to eat this cake. First Kings, I believe, says, we're going to eat this cake and we're going to die. Elijah comes along. Says, follow me. He said, instead of baking you a cake, he said, make me a cake first. So her success was in her following his vision. And if she would have not followed his vision, she would have died that day. Her and her legacy. The prophet probably wasn't even hungry. He probably wasn't even in need. You know, he could go out and he can get as many cakes as he wants, as much money as he got. He ain't a broke prophet. Are y'all hear what I'm saying? But he is challenging her to see, can you qualify to come into the next dimension? Come on. She followed his example, and now increase comes into her life. Another story comes along. He says, well, I got some creditors calling me, Pastor. He says, and my husband just died. Still in Kings again, 2 Kings, I think now. He says, my husband just died. And got all these creditors coming, and they about to come make slaves out of my boys. Because I can't pay the debt. He said, what do you have in your house? She said, why are you playing with me? I already told you I ain't got nothing. Oh, God. He said, no, there's something in your house that's valuable. Even though it you feel like it's insignificant. And as a matter of fact, go give me what you have. He says, but if you got to go to your neighbors and borrow their stuff, go get their stuff too. It was a shameful condition. She had to be humiliated to go knock at somebody else's door and ask them for some pots. Oh, ain't nobody talking in here. And now she followed the instructions, even though it was ridiculous and it caused her to become humiliated. She did it, even though I'm sure everything inside of her said, no, don't do this. Come on now, come on. Goes and does it. She follows the vision. And then all of a sudden now, he said, now fill this up. And now she went to pouring them pots. Till every pot in the house was full. He said, now don't make no fried chicken. He said, now go take that and sell it. See, her blessing was connected to her ability to follow somebody else's vision. Are y'all hearing what I'm talking about? I just told you why you broke. Because God says this is a spiritual principle that you cannot negate. I don't care how gifted you are. Nobody is going to discover you until you learn how to follow. You'll try this door and it won't work. You'll try that door and it won't work. Because God said, I remembered how you treated this anointing. And so as a result, the anointing that you're trying to get to work for you is going to work against you. Somebody said, be careful.
Be careful
How you treat the anointing.
how you treat the anointing.
You don't even know that you're serving yourself. You don't even know that that same anointing that is inside that individual, impartation is coming one day. And however you treated that anointing, it's going to come back. Oh God, I'm trying to help somebody. One of the most wonderful things that I could have ever heard